Ladies and gentlemen, federal employees, right around retirement is when the biggest mistakes are made by federal employees. Unfortunately, I've got a great vantage point of all the mistakes. I see people right around retirement all the time, and if we talk to them first, we're able to avoid them, but many times we don't talk to them until after. And we're trying to pick up the pieces because so many big decisions are made right around retirement. If you don't know what you're doing, it can be catastrophic. So let's talk about the biggest things to keep an eye out for so that you don't have to make these same mistakes. Now, this one that we're about to talk about is huge. And almost nobody talks about it, but please do this, okay? Your EOPF. Now, what are we talking about here? Your electronic official personnel folder. This is the folder. If you're not sure how to access it, talk to your HR, talk to a colleague. This is the folder where all your SF50s, all the documentation about your career, this is where it all sits. And you want to make sure before you retire, you understand what's in there and you get all of the documents out that are in there onto a personal device, okay? Not a work device, a personal device. And this is why. I've seen so many problems where you get into retirement and you realize, oh, I actually need documentation of this and this, and you don't have access to it. If you don't have these documents on your own personal computers, it can cause a huge problem in retirement. And hopefully you'll never need these documents, but if you do, it's really important to have them. Next, retirement application. Normally about 6 months or so before retirement, you fill out the retirement application. And on this application, there's some huge decisions that are made. Number one, if you're married, survivor benefits. Do you want your spouse to be left any piece of your pension if you were to pass away first? And if you do elect it, it's expensive. It's not the cheapest thing in the world. It's expensive to do. But if you don't elect it, they're left with nothing. And if you don't elect anything and you pass away first, they can't stand your health insurance. They lose the health insurance. So there's lots of gotchas built through this application. You want to make sure you understand. Also, what about life insurance? What's your plan for the FEGLI, the life insurance? If you choose to keep any significant amount, it gets very expensive in retirement. What's your plan? Now, these are only some of the decisions you're making on the application, but I wanted to mention them. Make sure you fill out the application slowly and thoughtfully, and you understand every aspect of it. You don't want to just say, oh, yeah, that looks right, and just move on, because it may be a big decision that you can't change later. Now, right around retirement, especially early in retirement, this is where we see huge mistakes with TSP, where people, let me just give you an example. Let's say you owe $100,000 on your mortgage, and you say, look, I want to retire. I don't want to have a mortgage in retirement. I want to get this paid off. And while I am a huge supporter of not having a mortgage in retirement, it's super helpful not to have one in retirement. You want to be careful how it's done. If you go to TSP and say, look, I owe $100K on my mortgage, send me $100K. I want to take a $100,000 withdrawal from TSP to pay this off. Well, how much will they send you? Well, they'll only send you about $80,000, right? They sent $20,000 straight to the IRS because it's pre-tax. So now you have $80,000. So you got to take out maybe another $30,000, $40,000 to actually net $100,000. So you ended up taking a lot more than you thought you needed, and your tax bracket is going to skyrocket because your income just went up by $130,000, $140,000. So you want to be careful whenever you're thinking about large TSP withdrawals. Now, sometimes they are the best option. I get that. But whenever you can avoid it, you're probably going to save a lot in taxes if you can avoid any large one-time withdrawals. Next, pension. This is a shocker for lots of people. Your pension has a lot of deductions that come out of it. And hopefully you know this before you go into retirement, but a lot of people don't. It has a lot of deductions that come out, like survivor benefits, like paying for health insurance and life insurance, dental, vision, any of the insurance you want to keep, you got to pay for those out of your pension, and taxes. Taxes is the biggest thing that I see is chronically underestimated, even on the pension estimates that you get from your HR. On the vast majority of those, the tax number they assume on there is simply just too low for most people. So keep that on. Make sure you understand exactly what your pension is going to be and what's going to come out of it. Last but very, very much not least is having some cash. Right around retirement, once you go into retirement, it can take a while for your pension and things to actually start. It can just take a while. OPM is getting faster, but they're still slow. And if you don't have some cash to get you through those first lean months in retirement, it can be very painful. And by the way, it normally takes about 6 weeks or so to be able to take a withdrawal from TSP for the first time. It takes them a while to know that you're retired. It just takes a while to get stuff in retirement. You want to make sure you have an emergency fund or some cash right around retirement. Now, these decisions and mistakes here, these aren't all the ones you can make. I'm sure there's lots of others. And so in the comments, if you've seen any big mistakes or experienced some yourself, please share below so we can all learn and get better together. But hopefully this gives you some context, some of the big decisions that you're making around retirement, so that hopefully you don't have to make these same mistakes. I hope that's helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video.